Nerds. Just sitting around talking about stuff. The Burg Nerds. This is the Burg Nerds. Just sitting around talking about shit.
Hello, friends and fellow nerds, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Burg Nerds, Central Kentucky's something podcast. I'm getting tired of making up things on the fly. Qualifiers. What are we? I mean, we're not the favorite. I don't think we're the favorite.
23 and a third.
23 and a third. We're ranked number 23 and 1/3 because apparently there are two very small children that do
Midgets.
a podcast, and they're 22 and 2/3. And
I'm sorry, short Americans.
We try to be PC here on the Burg Nerds. Short Americans, vertically challenged, so on and so forth. So how's everybody doing, man? What's going on this week? How's everybody's week?
Mine was good. Work was good. Today is Jackson's birthday.
You got your ears lowered too, didn't you, feller?
I did. Yeah.
You look
So-
just like your daddy. You don't look anything like your daddy.
We'll tell you, boy, happy birthday for us.
I will.
Yeah, Jackson's birthday. Is
Big
it today?
7.
The party's
Yeah.
tomorrow, right?
Lucky number 7.
We can't do that because we have a wedding shower to go to because I'm getting married.
Yeah, Angie was like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. I'm so sorry we can't be there to give your son gifts because we have to be somewhere to get gifts.
Hey, I understand.
It's cool because I like your kid. He's a cool kid.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah. I babysat him one time and I punched him. He didn't tell you about it, did he?
I don't think he remembers.
Oh, that's sad.
Probably why he has seizures. Thanks, Jeremy.
No, he was already having the seizures
Oh,
by the
okay.
time I had punched him.
Okay.
This is awful.
No, I'm just kidding.
Jordan, how was your week?
Long and tired and hot.
Long, tired, and hot.
Yep.
Wow, that sounds wonderful. And Joey?
Business as usual, my friend.
Yeah, I tell you what, I had a week from hell. This was the awfulest week. It was so slow and boring and just fucking horrible. It was just awful. And there's no like one thing that kind of sets it off either. Like it was just a
Monotonous.
yeah, it's just a boring, shitty, monotonous week.
I guess I can cue in there too. Went over to 4-day schedule, and God, it seems like it's like 50 freaking hours after being there 4 days for 10 hours.
That's 40. That's pretty close.
That's still pretty bad. 10 extra hours on each day sucks.
That sounds terrible, man. Well, since we recorded the last episode, there's been some horrible news that's been all over media, television news, social media, and that is the suicide, the death of Robin Williams, which is terrible. I don't think anyone saw that coming, and that was just awful. I mean, it's
Not at all. And with the recent, kind of the story develops and we get a little bit each day. He had the beginning stage of Parkinson's that nobody knew about.
yeah, it's kind of like a little bit of information piece by piece was kind of unfolding since since his death.
He had a massive bout with depression, which many of us, if not all of us, can absolutely
Sure,
relate to.
Yep.
It's just bad that, one of the funniest guys to grace this earth was,
It is really sad, and anyone who considers himself in any way, shape, or form a movie fan has a favorite Robin Williams, a favorite incantation of Robin Williams, and there's just way too many to list, man. I just the guy's entire body of work, like even his like lesser known stuff, like Fisher King. Did you ever see the Fisher King
Heard of it.
with Jeff
No.
Daniels? I mean, that was a wonderful movie, and of course everybody loved his role. I think he won an Oscar, actually, like a Best Supporting Oscar for his role in Good Will Hunting, which was great. And of course, all the silly stuff he did too, like all the voice work he did, Aladdin and robots, and even like Mork and Mindy. I mean, he was even funny as Mork from Mork. So it's sad, and I like to point out his daughter. I cannot recall her name.
Zelda.
Zelda. Yeah.
Yeah.
She actually resigned and closed all of her accounts in any kind of social media outlet because of these fucking butthurt, fucking asshole basement dweller douchebags who get online and cyberbully and just troll people to death, and they're talking shit. They're trolling this bitch about her father who just committed suicide a couple of days prior.
Yeah, 2 of them sent her a direct tweet with Photoshop pictures of what was supposed to have been her dad hanging. Like, that's
Jesus.
fucking pathetic.
You just don't do that shit.
No, man, it's just fucking terrible. And and we have a cool fan base here. We have good people, but I got to tell you, if anybody who does this kind of shit who's a friend of ours, just stop listening and go fuck yourself. I mean, it's just ridiculous, man. Her father just committed suicide, and here she's dealing with all these douchebags tweeting her with photoshopped pictures of her father, and it's just horrible, man.
Well, some people started a petition to Nintendo to see if they could, get Robin and his daughter as like maybe NPCs in the new Zelda, because that's who he named her after.
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
he was a big Legend of Zelda fan. He named his daughter after the game.
that's really cool.
So,
That is really cool.
oh, that'd be cool. Just something small.
Yeah, I mean that's wonderful. So we're gonna move on from this kind of sad thing. We just wanted to be able to acknowledge it on here and express our love and adoration for one of the funniest people that ever lived.
I do want to say one more thing.
Sure.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Nice.
And I'll say friends come in all sizes.
And I'll say good morning, Vietnam. All right.
Sorry about your eardrums.
So we're moving on. This idea for this episode is just kind of was born out of necessity. Basically, if you count all of our interview episodes, we're around 35 or so episodes in at this point, and it's really getting hard to come up with material because we're a weekly show. I mean, we've been running this shit 35 weeks, 30 weeks, whatever it is,
and the summer game drought started. So
the summer game drought, not to mention with the new platforms and stuff, shit's kind of churning out slowly. And, I haven't been keeping up with the independent film circuit, and Hollywood is just a clusterfuck as far as these summer blockbusters that they're churning out. Like, I mean, there's the exceptions to the rule. There's Guardians of the Galaxy and so forth I've heard wonderful things about. But this idea come from Lee, and we love nostalgia. We just sit around and talk about just the good old days. We never talk about what's going on in our life because our lives, for the most part, with the exception of a few things, are completely miserable. So we sit around and talk about how good things used to be. At that time we were bitching about our lives, but now in hindsight, everything's better. Everything used to be better. Not necessarily the case, but we still like to talk about it.
Yeah.
So Lee was talking about doing an episode like almost like a year in review, like just talk like pick a certain year. And we decided to go in order because we're not very good at math.
Well, we figured we would go back 25 years. I mean, it's a good number to start at. 1990.
Mm-hmm.
Gaming was really getting underway. You go back any further than that, there's not much to talk about as far as gaming. And
well, as far as gaming, there's not much to talk about. But some of my favorite movies of all time came out from the 70s, on into
and we can certainly, that's something we can do like a decade thing, for the 70s and 80s, maybe sometime.
Yeah, that would be good too. We're going to start with the year 1990. I was 9 years old. Lee was like 26.
Yes. And I had this
Lee, how old were you? Were you 7?
7.
7 years old. Jordan, you were like 8?
Yeah.
And Joey was 8?
7, I think.
7. Wow. So, I mean, we're gonna launch into 1990. We're gonna talk about everything kind of pop culture related. We're gonna go with video games, movies, television, comic books, even wrestling.
I got some music.
I did too. Yeah, some music. We're gonna talk music and everything.
I'm wondering if perhaps this might have been the year that me and Lee brawled for the first time.
Let's see. I started school in 89 to 90, so now I was going into first grade, kindergarten, and then into first grade.
Yep.
So when we get to 92, 93, we'll recant that story.
Yeah. I think you guys should recreate that battle, and since it's 1993, you should put on "You Down with OPP?"
Yeah,
you guys should fist fight in the front lawn. He can hit you with a stick. Or you hit him with a stick.
No, he hit me with a tree. It was not a stick.
He uprooted an entire tree and hit you with it.
He did.
All right, we'll launch into this with television. Anybody get anything for television? Because I have a bunch of wonderful shit that I want to talk about. Like the nostalgia runs deep in terms of television with me in 1990.
Go ahead, Jordan.
I was going to say this is the year that Chris Farley and a few of the other notables from SNL joined the cast.
That's correct, yeah. Farley, Chris Rock,
yep.
I think, joined that year.
Sandler.
Rob Schneider.
And Sandler.
Oh, yeah, Rob Schneider.
Yeah, he did, and unfortunately Sandler got popular and fucking went on TV. But most importantly, some more important things. Chris Farley. We all love Chris Farley. The Simpsons aired for the first time on the Fox network.
Really?
Yes, 1990. I mean, of course, they were on the
God.
Tracy Ullman show
Well, yeah.
prior as a sketch or whatever. Poorly, shittily animated.
Yeah, it wasn't much better on the premiere of Fox.
Yeah,
No.
it kind of got better as it went along, yeah.
I can't watch anything before like season 3.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch, yeah.
I can't watch them. They're not funny.
I can't watch Family Guy. I can't watch the first 2 seasons of Family Guy anymore. But also debuting that year was the long lost, one of the most brilliant TV shows ever made, Twin Peaks.
Absolutely. That's the first one on my list.
Yes, Twin Peaks actually aired its first season in '90, and then its last season in '91. Which
It was a good run. About as long as we'll have, right?
right? Yeah, well, it goes to show you, David Lynch just doesn't really have a whole lot of like mass appeal when it comes to popular television, popular culture, and which is really sad because Twin Peaks was an awesome show.
Yeah.
It was so fucking odd. I mean, you remember watching episodes of Twin Peaks? Like I watched it a lot with my dad. My dad and I watched Twin Peaks. We tuned in every week.
I never watched it.
And when you watched it, even when I watched it as a child, I could tell like something's not right about this show. Like it just had like a really eerie feeling. Like the score was kind of all over the place. And
All I know about Twin Peaks, one, they have David Duchovny in it.
no,
No, okay.
but a guy that kind of looks. I know who
okay.
you're talking about. It's not Duchovny.
All
but-
I know about Twin Peaks is that they took a lot of inspiration for Silent Hill from it. That's all I know.
Yeah, I read that somewhere too. Yeah, it's that town in Washington. I can't remember what it's called now. Well, Twin Peaks, but they took a lot of inspiration or whatever from it. So, also MTV Unplugged aired.
Yes, with
For the
a
first time.
shitty British band named Squeeze.
Yeah, I never heard of them.
Me either. I didn't even YouTube them.
But then again, they went on to have like Nirvana and Alice in Chains.
Sure.
All kinds of great bands. In Living Color
Yeah,
actually debuted. In Living Color.
Looking stuff up as far as music went, there was absolute tons of the different bands and stuff that come into form. 2 of my favorites, one being Tool and the other being Pearl Jam.
Tool and Pearl Jam, yeah.
Grunge started making its way.
It did, yeah, 1990. And then, of course, let's not forget Pee-wee's Playhouse, the last season of Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yes.
The series finale closed in 1990.
That was one of my favorite shows then, and of course my brother would call me Pee Wee, and I would get real mad and go cry.
I thought he called you Pickaxe.
No, that was in middle school
Oh,
when that
okay.
started.
He was Rock Chisel when he was
Yeah.
little.
Rock Chisel.
Another
Just don't use it to like tunnel under the walls and try to break out. Andy Dufresne.
poke a hole through a poster. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, Fresh Prince
premiered.
of Bel-Air.
And you gotta love Carlton.
Sometimes I do the Carlton. Like when Angie's like, I'm going to give you some tonight. And I'm like, it's not unusual to be loved. Yeah.
by anyone.
I'll start doing the
You do know Uncle Phil was Shredder in the Ninja Turtle cartoon, right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, good man. Good man. Good man.
God rest his soul.
But unfortunately, Mama's Family ended in 1990.
Yeah, I wasn't real sad to see that one go.
I did like that show.
Are you
And
serious?
so did Al.
Inexplicably,
Yeah.
my dad used to watch Mama's Family all the time. I still have no idea why he watched Mama's Family.
Newhart.
He wouldn't laugh. He would watch it like with a scowl, but he watched every single episode.
He wanted to be.
I don't know any character's name on that show. I know Carol Burnett showed up every now and then. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mama.
Huh?
Mama.
What?
That was the lead woman's name. They called her Mama.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant Carol Burnett was
No,
Mama.
no.
I was like,
DuckTales actually aired its last season.
But
Chip,
the
Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
But the Disney afternoon
Yeah.
started, and then they stopped making DuckTales.
Okay, but here's the saddest thing that came to a screeching halt in 1990. The very last season of Mr. Belvedere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, streaks on the channel.
Tiny Toons actually aired in 90.
Did it? Tiny Toons. I was never a big fan of Tiny Toons.
I watched it because it was on.
Yeah, really.
Well,
I couldn't get into it.
I was
man.
in second grade. I couldn't drive.
Wait, no, Tiny Toons. I'm thinking of Animaniacs. Animaniacs I didn't like.
Oh, I liked Animaniacs.
Loved it.
I didn't care much for
And
Animaniacs.
God
Tiny
knows
Toons I
we
didn't
all
mind.
loved Captain Planet.
Oh, God.
Tiny Toons had Babs and Buster Bunny.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. Launching into movies, man. And of course, the first one is going to come out of
I know
Jordan's mouth is going to be
Jacob Ladder.
Really? I had you
Yeah.
pegged for Ninja Turtles. I know you're a big Jacob Slider fan.
Oh,
I
yeah,
am too.
a
It's a
lot of
wonderful movie.
A lot of good stuff came out.
Yes.
Tons of good stuff came out in '90.
The highest grossing movie of that year, unfortunately, was Ghost.
I like that movie.
Wow, it wasn't.
And it grossed worldwide $505.7 million.
I'm not Swayze crazy, but
I'm not either.
I like.
but
that
Ghost
movie.
wasn't a terrible movie. Like I've
I
seen
enjoy that movie because Vincent Schiavelli's like, "Get off my train," and he's just the ghost that wants to smoke cigarettes and hangs out on the train.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, he was really mad.
That's Jordan
Yeah.
when he died.
Exactly.
I like that guy a whole lot, but that's the only thing I can ever recall seeing him in.
He's been in quite a few stuff. He was on Taxi quite often.
Was he? See, I
Yeah.
don't remember that. I've
He-
seen a lot of Taxi too.
He's a good friend of Danny DeVito.
Is he?
Movie that I saw just fairly recently, actually, that I didn't know come out in 1990 was Hunt for Red October.
Really?
Connery.
Yeah.
Connery in his later prime.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'd like to go ahead and mention that two of my all-time favorite films come out in 1990.
I got no one else.
One being Pump Up the Volume, and the other being Back to the Future 3. Lee's
Yeah.
nodding along like he knows exactly what I'm going to say. I don't
Yeah.
give a shit. Back to the Future is the greatest film franchise there ever was.
Well, I know my two favorite movies. that
I know
came
one of
out.
them.
What?
Goodfellas.
No.
Really?
I did like that movie. Joe Pesci's amazing.
No, he is, yeah.
Ernest Goes to Jail.
I'd like to go ahead and point out that Eddie, actually, since he can't be here tonight, in his absence, decided to text me his list. And let me go ahead and pull this up here.
I love almost every movie on this list. That's why I wrote them down.
Yeah, I do too. He put in, he had Ernest Goes to Jail, and he had Ghost Dad.
I had that.
Fucking Ghost
do
Dad.
too.
It's the worst. It's the worst thing I've seen since Leonard Part 6.
Edward Scissorhands actually came out.
They did Gremlins 2. That's from Eddie, who phoned that one in. Thank you, Eddie, for that.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was my
Oh.
other one.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
the
that's the one
first
I
one.
thought Jordan was going to bring up was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, but there's so many good
there
movies.
are a lot of good movies. Misery came out,
Yes.
and that movie's awesome.
Gremlins 2.
The Tremors came out.
Tremors
We
with Kevin Bacon. I love Tremors. I
I
love
do
that
too.
fucking movie.
And the
I'll still watch that movie.
graphical masterpiece we all come to love and or hate. Total Recall.
Total Recall.
I love
Yeah.
love it. Love it.
Dick Tracy. Dick Tracy came out in
That
1990.
one I didn't love.
You could not go anywhere and buy anything that didn't have Dick Tracy on it in
Yeah,
1990.
they marketed the
They had
shit out of
McDonald's
that.
toys.
You could,
Yeah,
there was
Pizza
that-
Hut had the cups.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
McDonald's had that thing where you like if you got like a large drink or a large fry, you could like win money because they had the little game where you could peel off the
Yeah.
mug shots, and everybody wanted Lips Manless, who was Paul Sorvino, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you because he was the one you could win $1 million, and every time I pulled it, I was like, oh, like fuck.
They made Paul Savino's character worth $1 million.
Oh, that part where he was slurping the oysters in the
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Warren Beatty, right?
Yeah.
Was he fucking Madonna at that time?
Yeah, I
Whether
believe
she was
so,
a-
yeah.
Who wasn't?
I almost said Ned.
I was fucking Madonna at
I
that time.
almost said Ned Beatty. So,
Eddie would also like to point out the debut of one of the most famous TV commercials of all time. Help me. I've fallen and I can't get up.
Oh, fuck you, Eddie.
You know, that became like a worldwide phenomenon. And it's basically about Life Alert. An old woman falls and breaks her fucking
Yeah.
hip and has to
and then they
call for help. And everybody's like,
And then I remember Urkel said it on Family Matters, and everybody's like, ah! And I was like,
yeah. Carl Winslow shot a kid.
hey, he may have shot Urkel. Actually.
That's why he was falling and couldn't get up.
What
Enough
was
from
that?
Eddie. He's fucking text
Um,
messaging shit in here.
There's, of course, I hate fucking Tom Cruise. But
too.
one of the biggest movies of that year was Days
Days
of
of
Thunder.
Thunder. Yep.
Was that the race car movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
They
my
had a-
neighbors love that movie.
I had a Days of Thunder shirt. I had a Days of Thunder Coca-Cola cup. I got at Speedway or
Yeah.
at Super America. Excuse
Yeah.
me. I never saw the movie. I never saw it.
I rode the roller coaster,
Did you really? You
At
rode Days
Kings
of
Island.
Thunder? I'll be damned.
and then Top Gun was right beside it.
But the question is, when you rode Top Gun, did you in fact fly away to the danger zone?
No, but they play it like over the speakers.
You're
as you
damn right they
fly
do.
by. Yeah.
It took his change.
Now
though.
Top Gun's a different. That's back before Tom Cruise lost his mind though. Like Cocktails was awesome. I loved Cocktails with that Australian guy who got weird and left and
He
came
was
back.
still kind of in the kind of heartthrob phase. That was like for a few.
Well, he's a good-looking man. I
I
mean,
don't know.
what was the other one he did?
He's got a tooth in the middle of his face. His teeth are offset. This tooth.
You figure with that kind of money,
You
with that "fuck you" Days of Thunder money, he'd be.
Get your fucking teeth fixed. Home Alone came out. You have to mention that one. Love it or hate it.
I don't really care because Hughes wrote it, so
I like Home Alone. It has some good moments, especially with the dude on the videotape and Buzz.
Yeah.
But you know
Buzz.
how to-
Have you seen
filthy
pictures of
animal.
Buzz recently? Have you seen him? He just looks fatter and more. He looks desperate to get his hands on a taco. That's all I can say to describe the photo I saw.
I
of him.
love Buzz. Don't you know how to knock Flimwad? And who could hate Uncle Frank?
Uncle Frank was a fucker.
Look what you did, you little jerk!
That's weird. Hughes wrote that. That's really weird.
Chris Columbus.
Chris Columbus directed it. Yeah, that's right.
I want to bring up. I've got 4 of the Oscar winners here, but I want to talk about somebody that did not win Best Supporting Actor,
Who's that?
and that was the gerbil inside Richard Gere's ass in Pretty Woman.
It did not win.
It did not win.
Now here's 2 movies that you guys have all forgotten to bring up. 3, in fact, you've forgotten to bring up. 4, you've forgotten to bring
There's
up.
a lot I haven't
Yeah.
brought
I'm
up.
checking my list here. There's 5. I've got 5 yet that we haven't mentioned.
Dances with Wolves.
No.
I've never seen that movie.
Lionheart, Van Damme Lionheart came out
Fuck, did
in
it?
1990.
Who
Yes,
cares?
sir.
It's not Bloodsport, so I don't
And
give a shit.
Rob Reiner's Misery.
I said Misery.
Did you
Like
say
8
Misery?
8
I
times.
think I did.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't catch that one. RoboCop 2.
Got it.
RoboCop
Fuck
2.
that.
And, of
Oh,
course,
come on.
Die Hard 2.
and as
Yeah.
part of my later music, the music section of this, Young Guns 2 come out, and
Yep.
everybody remembers Bon Jovi's track,
Mhm.
Blaze of Glory! It was great. I loved Young Guns and Young Guns 2. I really did.
Night of the Living Dead came out in
The
90.
remake?
Yeah, the remake,
Yeah.
1990.
I didn't see that on the list.
Directed by special effects guru and nefarious asshole.
I love
Tom
that movie.
Savini.
We still need to commentate on
Yeah, I agree. We should do a commentary on that
Absolutely.
one.
Return of the Night of the Living Dead was worthy of a movie commentary at some point.
Right on.
that. Arachnophobia?
That was 1990.
Yep.
Yeah.
I loved Arachnophobia. I mean, Jeff Daniels and John Goodman. And does it get any better?
I'm going to say a quote from a movie and see if you can name it.
All right, let's go.
It's not a tumor.
Kindergarten Cop came out that year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Here's one. I don't know if you like this one. Leatherface Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 came out in 90.
I fucking hate that film.
I didn't know if
I
you did or
despise
not.
it. I despise it so much. That and Next Generation are the 2 worst.
I've seen Next Generation.
And this recent one they did, the 3D
yeah,
one
that
was
one
fucking
sucked.
horrible.
Troll 2 came out.
Troll 2, yeah.
Oh
Widely considered to be one of the worst films ever made.
I actually watched it.
Yeah, it's got like 2 stars on IMDb.
It's oh my god.
Everybody in America hates Kevin Smith, and all of his shit has at least 6 stars or higher. Troll 2 got 2 fucking stars.
I got Awakenings too. Did anybody ever see Awakenings? That was a really good movie.
Yes, I
Yes.
did. Yes,
Okay.
that was a
Yeah.
wonderful
Very good
movie.
Rocky 5.
Oh, the worst
Rocky
Rocky
Balboa.
ever made.
Tommy Gunn.
I didn't realize the 5th Rocky came out in 1990.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little newer than that. But
No.
No, it was 1990.
so
yeah.
when did 1 come out?
78.
Really?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, 78.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know it predated me that.
You know what's
far.
fucked up is I sit and think of all this shit I know. How in my fucking brain, I can't even remember to take out the fucking trash in the morning before I go to work. But I can tell you what year a fucking movie was directed, 3 years before I was born.
The
That's
Witches.
just ridiculous.
The Witches. Did anybody see that in their kids? I liked that movie.
I don't remember that
Had
one.
Angelica Houston in it.
Don't even know.
No, I
who
didn't see
is.
that one.
It was based off the Roald Dahl book.
Can I quiz you guys?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. We're gonna go with Best Picture. I'm gonna give you 4 choices, and you tell
Uh-huh.
me what won.
I already know what it is.
Ernest Goes to Jail,
Should have been.
Gremlins 2, Ghost Dad, or Dances with Wolves.
Are we talking about the Oscar? The
Yeah.
golden? Okay, that was Dances with Wolves.
How'd you know?
The fact that it was running up against Ghost Dad and Ernest Goes to Jail.
You can't knock Jim Varney. He was
Oh,
amazing.
I love Jim Varney.
No, I love the Ernest movies, but I'm pretty sure it
Yeah.
never won the
No.
Academy Award.
All right. Best Actress. He probably knows this one.
If it's who I think it is, I might.
Well, considering I didn't look ahead on this, it was Kathy Bates. I don't know any other actresses that I could name. So sorry.
I
about
thought it
that,
was
folks.
Kathy Bates. I didn't
Way to
like
phone it in,
read
Eddie.
But I think I remember them her winning an Oscar for Annie.
I can do Best Supporting Actor.
Who won Best Supporting Actor?
I know
Okay.
who won actress.
Macaulay Culkin,
Uh-huh.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Warren Beatty, Sylvester Stallone, or Joe Pesci.
Oh, come on.
Pesci?
Yeah, it's got to be.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say,
for
yeah.
Goodfellas.
Yeah.
And Best Supporting Actress.
I know who that is.
Go
Go
ahead.
get your fucking shine box.
It was Whoopi
Yeah,
Goldberg
absolutely.
for Ghost.
Whoopi. Is that everything on the movies?
Yeah.
Anybody else want to add?
Child's Play 2 came out.
It fucking did, didn't it? Yeah.
And I don't know.
Godfather 3, I think, is.
Yeah, we don't talk about that one.
Yeah, that's. Yeah.
We don't talk about Godfather 3.
Coppola, come
The
on.
only good thing about that movie is the old cover for it.
Yeah.
Just a menacing ass picture of Al
Yeah.
Pacino.
Only good thing about that movie is when the credits roll.
Oh, God. Sophia Coppola trying to act. Oh.
You know, I've
Yeah, it
never
was rough.
seen any of the Godfather movies.
Really?
Ever.
I've never seen any of them all the way through.
Watch the first two.
Yeah, the first two.
First two are
Okay.
wonderful. They're wonderful movies.
I might even go as far as to say I like the Godfather 2 better than the first one.
I like the first one a little better.
Yeah.
Two's a great movie. Did anybody mention Problem Child?
Problem child. No,
Yeah.
we'll leave that up to you.
I like that movie.
Do you want to go ahead and
did
do the
too.
monologue that he recites into the camera at the end or whatever when he gets busted, Big Ben?
Oh, Big Ben Healy?
Yeah.
I don't know it word for word. I just.
You did it one time because you stood in my damn living room yelling it one night.
Hey, Dad, why don't you? I'll try to get. Hey, Dad, why don't you tell the voters what you really plan to do when you do me? I give a rat's ass something or other. I don't know. The only part at the end I remember.
You had it
because
nailed down.
America for the Americans. You believe that nonsense? I'd sell my soul to the Japanese if they made me an offer. And as for you, don't come sucking around me if you want something, because the only thing you'll get from me is this. And he pulled his pants down and wiggled his old man ass in front of the camera.
Oh, that's hot. Let's jump into comics. Anybody got anything you want to launch into for comics?
Big Ben Healy.
I don't have a lot. I just know that Gambit made his first
The
appearance.
first
in
appearance of
1990.
Gambit. Now here, without anybody cheating, what issue did Gambit make his first appearance?
4.
Uncanny X-Men Annual number 14.
I think he saved
14.
Storm in
Yeah,
that.
that's
didn't
a 14.
he?
Yeah.
He saved Storm. I saw it once. Somebody brought it to school once.
Well, most importantly, the number one selling comic book issue, single issue of all time up until that point, come out. And that is Todd McFarlane's run on Spider-Man.
Really?
Just Spider-Man. Yeah, it's his first major title as an artist and writer. He wrote and did the art on it. And it was a number one solid selling comic issue up until that point. And I never fucking read it. Like, yeah, I was... And it kind of helped him launch Image Comics into like this whole next level shit, because people saw his work on Spider-Man, the run he did, and they were just like, "Whoa."
Yeah, because when Spawn came out around 92?
Yeah, I was 10 years old, so it was it'd have been 91,
92.
yeah, 91,
I
late
remember
91.
people bringing it on the bus. This is
Spawn and Pit,
I was
yeah,
like,
Spawn and Pit came out at the same time. That was like their two big launch for Image Comics, and
Wild-
now Image
Wildcats,
Comics is
I think.
providing, yeah. And now Image is providing some of, in my opinion, some of the best fucking comics that are out right now.
I don't know.
Image is doing it up.
I don't know if McFarlane's run of Spider-Man, if he showed up in 1990, but McFarlane's take on Venom is still my very favorite today.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he did amazing. You know, he
Yeah.
did a little bit on Amazing Spider-Man, because of course he did the first appearance of Venom, Spider-Man 300. But his first like full run on his own incantation of Spider-Man was in 1990, and it was just simply titled Spider-Man. And of course, it was his first major, like the first real thing he did on his own, which is pretty cool. And let's not forget New Mutants number 87, first appearance of Cable.
Really?
And
Cable
also,
made his first appearance.
Mhm.
Time Warner?
Also relevant to that, Strife also first appeared.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, he did definitely. And the X-Men Days of Future Present storyline, which was a sequel to, of course, Days of Future Past, was notable. I mean, that was a wonderful. But other than basically those few things, like the 90s were just shit for comic books. Like they really were. I mean, it was just overproduced and saturated, and everything had a holographic cover.
We got several of them.
They were pretty.
Yeah, they were just big. Like every episode of every issue, like Jim Lee, like when he did Wildcats, like every issue of Wildcats had a holographic cover. And everything had to have a zero issue too.
I
a
really
prequel.
like Jim Lee's run on X-Men.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not denying his talent. He's wonderful. But so that's all I got. That's all I had for comics. Anybody else pull anything up for comic books for
I did
1990?
not. There wasn't a lot.
Right on.
Let's go to music.
Let's go into music. What was your favorite album or notable album that released in 1990?
I don't know that I had a favorite. Well, I don't know. I was 6 and 7, so I liked, of course, MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice.
Please, Hammer. Don't hurt
him.
him.
And then Pray. My favorite video was "Epic" by Faith No More.
That was 1990.
Yes,
I'll be damned.
and I was mesmerized by that video.
No, I was actually talking today about my favorite music video from 1990, and I said it was my favorite. And now, I don't think the video so much for Faith No More's Epic was my favorite. When it comes to just straight up video, my favorite music video of 1990 was Billy Idol's Cradle of Love.
Absolutely.
That came out then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you remember the video, right?
I do,
that
but-
dorky fucking business dude in the suit, and he's sitting in his really G'd up apartment, and this teenage girl knocks on his door, and she's like, "Hi, I really want to listen to this tape. My stereo's broken in my mom's apartment. Can I listen to it on your machine?" And he's
She
like,
starts getting all crazy.
"Yeah."
and
She
he's
gets
like,
all
"Oh."
sexy, and he's like, "Let me get your drinks," and he's loosening his tie, and he's
For
got
some
a-
reason, I was thinking that was earlier.
got a boner.
Do you remember Headbanger's Ball?
Absolutely,
Yes.
I remember Headbanger's Ball.
Headbanger's Ball.
Hell yeah.
When MTV played music.
Here's some guilty admittance. All this stuff that you guys are talking about, I have literally no idea. Because being raised in the country, literally all I got to hear was classic rock and fucking country music. So
That's fine.
There's nothing wrong with
There's
that.
nothing wrong
Because even country then was decent.
Yeah, well,
Well, I'm
country
just-
died in 1988, in my opinion, when Keith Willie died. So, but
So-
but pretty close though. I mean,
Yeah.
you're fine.
And I found out that the '90s was my favorite time for music, actually.
Yeah, I mean,
and
there were some wonderful albums released because everything was great in the 90s. We had a wonderful president, and the economy, wasn't in the shitter. Not only was it not in the shitter, but it was actually good. It was a good time to be alive in
Booming,
the 90s,
yeah.
man.
Unemployment was down.
Yeah, pop culture was just fucking nuts, booming. Everything was a fucking thing. You know what I mean? So it was a wonderful time. It
Yeah.
was beautiful. I'm proud to say that I actually lived through the 90s.
So a lot of the stuff, I'm just finding out about a lot of things. I know back in 2005, I really started looking into, a lot of the music from the 90s. Some of my friends, actually, Jordan here and Jason, shared a shit ton of music with me one time, and I ripped it all off and was like, I really fucking missed out.
Well, there's some great bands in the 90s.
Yeah.
Look at Stone Temple Pilots.
Mhm.
That's one of my favorite bands to come out of the
My
90s,
favorite
man.
bands came out.
Yeah, definitely Alice in Chains.
There were some.
Even some of the weird side projects too, like Temple of the Dog, and
People look at me weird when I say this. I love the Gin Blossoms.
I like the Gin
I like
Blossoms.
the
I
Gin
did too.
Blossoms.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't know who that is.
Soul Asylum.
Not to top everything that you all are throwing out, but Warrant's Cherry Pie came out in '90.
No, I've got one better than that. Public Enemy's Fear of a Black Planet
You are.
came out in 1990. Yeah,
Hard to Handle, Black Crows.
yeah. Pink Floyd's The Wall live in Berlin
Did Pink
because
Floyd,
of the Berlin Wall actually fell in 1990.
remember you
So
were
Drew,
No.
if you're fucking listening, I
It-
mentioned the Berlin Wall falling.
It fell in '89. They
Did it?
consolidated in '90.
Well, excuse fucking me.
Sorry, it fell in September.
You
of
get a
89.
fancy fucking haircut, and suddenly you come in here and fucking helming this show.
I remember you telling me a couple weeks ago that Floyd was coming out with a new album with Waters on it. Is that
Yes, they
Yes.
are.
Is
That's
that
supposed to be released this fall.
right? Okay,
Also.
I didn't know. I was going to ask when that came out.
Something River. It's got the word River. And I can't remember the title of it. I think it's going to be like one or two new tracks and some previously unreleased tracks.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's going to be great. It's fucking Pink Floyd. And speaking of
And it's
Pink
Roger
Floyd,
Waters. Pink.
recently I found out that for the hurricane, the concert for the hurricane, the 12-12-12 Hurricane Sandy relief, Waters performed Comfortably Numb live with Eddie Vedder.
Oh, wow.
With Eddie Vedder singing David Gilmour's parts on it. And I'm going to have to pull that up later and show that to you. It was fucking brilliant, man. It was awesome. It was really cool. But what else we got on
Today
music?
Sucks.
Do what?
I don't know if it's just us being all old going, we're back in my day, but like a lot of music just sucks.
It does fucking
Well,
suck.
even AJ was like, your music was good. I was like, well, hell yeah, it was good.
Well, pop culture, like pop music back then was like still included like, rock bands and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
Now pop
Until-
music is just
until-
electronically produced gibberish that
But
you know,
grunge was making its way and was about to squash the hair bands.
it
So-
did too, man. It fucking knocked hairbands
Sure.
dick string.
Because
in
you
the dirt.
mentioned like
Good.
Cherry Pie by
Yeah.
one. I was like, and by the next year there probably wasn't a hair
Yeah.
band on that top.
Well, Guns N'
10.
Roses was still around because they released one of their best albums in '92. In my opinion,
Mr. Big was around
Yeah,
till 93.
90. Yeah. Man. Use Your Illusion came out in '92, I think. So.
I have some sad news to report. When I was looking up, bands that formed in '90, there's also a section that says bands that disbanded in '90. And I hate to inform everybody that the band Anal Cunt disbanded in late 1990 due to lack of anyone giving a shit about them.
That sounds about
You're
right.
welcome.
They're really that old. Anal Cunt's really that
I
old.
had no
Yeah.
idea they were that old.
Yes,
I didn't. I had no idea either.
Well, that's
I know the Replacements broke up sometime around then, but then Paul Westerberg kind of went out on his own. But the Pixies released "Allison," which was a pretty big hit for the Pixies. I mean, they never really had mass appeal.
Were they the band that go sing? I don't even know the fucking song.
They did the closing credits from Fight Club, for example.
Okay.
They Sonic Youth released "Goo" that year. That was a great fucking song.
Janie's Got a Gun by Aerosmith.
Oh,
Yes.
Jesus.
Billy Idol wrecks his motorcycle, gets injured, and
Yeah.
his part in Oliver Stone's film gets cut down to a bit part because of
Yeah.
his motorcycle accident.
Was he gonna be in JFK? That one?
No, The Doors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he apparently had a big part in it. Flea and Chad Smith get arrested for sexually abusing an audience member.
Flea.
They jumped off stage and I don't know if they were
Do you have details on it? I don't have any details on it.
No, I
always
wonder
thought-
if they were just wearing socks and started
I would like to hope that it was a big misunderstanding.
Me
because
too, because
I really liked Flea and Chad Smith.
Flea always comes across as really nice and sweet in
Right.
interviews.
Green Day released
Probably Kerplunk if it was 90.
At the Library was one of the songs they released that year.
Pop rock.
My favorite song of that year, Social Distortion, Story of My Life. They released
Absolutely.
that as a single, which I thought was pretty fucking awesome. Billy Idol, of course, Cradle of Love. Jane Childs, Don't Wanna Fall in Love.
Yeah.
Wilson Phillips is Hold On.
Oh,
Oh,
Jesus.
one more day.
Vogue by Madonna came out, as well as Sinead O'Connor's Nothing Compares to
That's
You.
right.
Oh,
as
my
well as
God.
Temple of the Dog's Hunger Strike.
Is that old?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was like the first year that kind of Pearl Jam was kicking. He did Temple of the Dog. Eric Johnson released Cliffs of Dover.
Good song.
That is a brilliant guitar song. Pantera released Cowboys from Hell, the album, along with Cemetery Gates and whatever. Bon Jovi's Blaze of Glory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jane's Addiction, Been Caught Stealing, actually came out that year. Yeah, that's right.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees that year were Bobby Darin, Four Seasons, Simon and Garfunkel,
Yay.
and The Who. Now, I do like The Who.
Yeah, I'm a big
Yeah.
Who fan.
I love Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah.
I do.
All right, let's launch into wrestling. I feel like I'm the only one that's got anything for
Probably.
wrestling.
bud.
That's me.
I got some.
Yeah, but I
Because
mean,
The Undertaker hadn't
I don't
wanna
wanna
show
look
up until
like-
a year later.
I don't want to look like the only wrestling fan here. We're all
No, I got
avid
some.
wrestling fans, so I've got some really I didn't mind I didn't bother touching too much on old WWF stuff.
I got that covered.
good because
That's what I watched.
most of the stuff I'm covering is NWA. I'm gonna go ahead and say that the first big move from NWA in 1990 is that Crockett finalizes the deal with Ted Turner and Jim Herd, and it
WCW.
becomes
Oh,
WCW. Yeah. So that kind of went on, and then therefore there was spanning those few months where it was NWA, WCW, and then it just went full WCW. They closed the deal on it. The Four Horsemen return for the first time in 4 years, and they turned face.
Which version though? Because I'm sorry, because every now and then they would have a different person would be stuck. Like Larry Zbyszko
Well,
would
from
come
90,
in.
they did the Horsemen from 80.
Flair Anderson.
Well, the original Horsemen were Flair, Arn, Ole, and Tully Blanchard.
Okay.
Okay, and then they came back in 90, and the 1990 Four Horsemen was Rick, Arn, and Ole, and Sting. So they kind of turned face, which is really weird because even as heels, people still loved them because it's the fucking Four Horsemen.
The Shockmaster debut in 90.
Shockmaster.
You mentioned Sting around, and I was like, wait a minute. I'm just wondering.
That may have been right around 90.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was the
You
Shockmaster?
should
The
probably.
Shockmaster was Uncle Fred.
What?
Tugboat.
Really?
Yeah, he did this. They were cutting a promo. It was like Sid Vicious, Sting, and a bunch of other people were cutting a promo.
Davey Boy Smith.
Davey Boy Smith, and the Shockmaster was supposed to bump come crashing through the wall with like his helmet on, and they of course Ole Anderson was off camera doing the voice into a microphone of the Shockmaster.
It looked like a big.
It looked like Tugboat with a fucking helmet on.
Yeah,
what it
with
looked
like a like a glittered up purple stormtrooper helmet.
That's
on.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
had like a big furry.
But
vest
here's the
and
thing,
jeans.
though, is when he busted through the wall, he trips and falls, and his helmet comes off, and everybody can see plainly that it's Tugboat. And like all the wrestlers are trying not to. They're trying not to fuck. They're corpsing really bad, trying not to fucking laugh.
You can hear it. We'll show it to you. When
And
we
Davey
talk.
Boy
Okay.
Smith.
He goes. He fell flat on his fucking ass. Because
Oh,
Sting
that's
goes,
great.
"It's the Shockmaster!" And then there's pyrotechnics, and he just falls through and falls down, and people are just going, "Oh no!"
And the whole time, like Ole Anderson is off camera doing his voice, and you can hear it like crackling where he's trying not to laugh where he fell. The worst fucking gimmick I think ever done in history.
Wow.
So the-
Mantar was pretty bad.
Yeah, that's true. Gobbledygooker.
Oh, geez.
John
Yeah, so the
Gonzalez.
Horseman picked up Sting and turned face. The feud between, actually, in my opinion, the greatest wrestling feud of all time came to an end that year. Flair Steamboat.
Oh, really? Okay.
They had their last match at, I think it was Wrestle War 90, I believe. No, it wasn't. It was.
Those are such good matches.
Yeah, Flair Steamboat. They ended their feud. Actually, the Sting of Muta feud. Sting and the Great Muta. That feud came to an end
And
that year.
well, and Flair and Steamboat ended, and Flair started a long program with Luger that year.
Right on. I couldn't find a lot of shit about wrestling as far as like 1990. So a lot of it I'm going on memory. A lot of it I'm going on memory. Doom was unmasked in that mask versus titles match with the Steiners, and of course you just confirmed what everybody already knew. I mean, everybody fucking knew it was Butch Reed and Ron Simmons, but they just kind of were like, "We'll pretend we don't know."
Yeah.
Back to Steamboat and Flair, though, really quick.
Yeah.
Just because I was reading recently, like, Flair would say, like, because Flair could go on forever because he's wonderful. I'm so glad you showed me the magnificence, as Ric Flair. But he said Steamboat was the one person he could never fucking blow up in the ring.
No.
He said he hated it. Like, he loved working with him. He said he could never blow that motherfucker
Yeah. At the
up.
time, like one of the men with like the worst physiques ever, Ric Flair could work an Iron Man match all the way through and not be blown up.
Mhm.
And he couldn't blow up old Steamboat.
Yep.
Steamboat was a fucking machine,
Yeah.
man. I mean, that's probably hands down my favorite.
I
feud of
loved
all
him
time.
growing up. So.
Absolutely. RoboCop makes an appearance at Capital Combat 90.
Oh my god.
Yes, they had RoboCop on the pay-per-view.
Do
He
you
comes
still have
out,
the network?
cuts a promo. No, I canceled it. I
Oh.
canceled WWE Network.
We need to watch Heroes of Wrestling. I know it wasn't that year, but that's the one with Jake Roberts going. You want to play 21? Heroes of Wrestling. That's the name of the pay-per-view.
Wow, that sounds. You want to play 21? I've got 22. You want to play blackjack? I've got too many of those. You
2 of those too.
want to play aces and eights? I got too many of those. What does that even mean? If you got 21, I've got 22. You lose. Bust. Bust.
You
Hit
won't
me.
play cards with me because I'll cheat.
I won't dwell on the WWF too long. And this will be the telltale of why. There was only 2 WWE heavyweight champions that year. Can you guess who they were?
Hogan and Warrior.
Yep.
No.
Now that brings me to the thing. WrestleMania 6 had up until the Nash Hogan at Road Wild 97 had the worst WrestleMania main event of all time. Hogan Warrior.
Yeah. There was no bump whatsoever.
There
in that
wasn't.
match.
There wasn't one. Not one.
I don't think at all. It was bad.
Thank
Yeah,
God
it was-
Undertaker
it
was
was
the year
for-
later.
Yeah.
It was for the Warrior had his Intercontinental Champion belt.
It was
on the
back
line.
before the Warrior had the internet.
Yeah. Eh.
There was a really great match that came out of that year. One of my favorite matches of all time was an I Quit match between Rugged Ronnie Garvin and Greg Valentine, back when Greg Valentine was relevant. Which
I know who
that's
Greg
still-
Valentine is.
Yeah, that's still. I mean, it's still negotiable on whether or not he was ever relevant. He should have been.
He's an unfortunate looking woman.
He's a handsome woman, that Greg. Greg Valentine is one of those. It was just understated. He was a wonderful wrestler, and he just never. I don't think he had any mic skills. That's why. So, I'm gonna go ahead and say one of the worst angles, probably the worst angle in wrestling history, happened that year. The Black Scorpion, which it was really weird because the Black Scorpion was like the mask guy, and he was like fucking. He had a feud with Sting.
Is that the same guy Ole Anderson voiced too? That he did the voice for the
I don't know.
Shockmaster
Probably,
for? Okay.
yeah, probably. The thing is that the Black Scorpion had been like doing all these run-ins with like a hood on, and he was fucking up Sting matches and causing Sting, to lose. And when they finally revealed who the Black Scorpion was, it was supposed to be Ric Flair. And when you watch the Black Scorpion, it's not Ric Flair in the slightest. Like the Black Scorpion bumps on his back.
Mhm.
He doesn't do Ric Flair's 6 moves that he's been doing for 40 years.
But they're good moves.
They're wonderful moves, but
Who was under the mask?
it was Ric Flair, but I don't know I don't know who it was the whole time.
Okay.
Like during the reveal,
Maybe it could have been somebody else.
Yeah,
well,
I don't
it's
know.
like the Black Scorpion comes out, and you knew he was going to lose the mask because it had Ric Flair's body. Like for the first time,
Like
the
you
Black
seen them
Scorpion
titties.
looked like
You
looked
knew
like
it.
Maybe it was Richard Dreyfuss.
oh, it might have been. Okay, I'm
was
going to
Rick-
go
Rick
ahead
Martel.
and do the awards, my awards for that year, and I got to say, who do you think got match of the year? We watched it a couple months ago, I think, a month ago.
Terry Funk and Flair,
Close. That
Oh.
match was good.
the I Quit match.
But I got to go. No, it was close. That was Clash of the Champions. I got to go with Sting Flair at Wrestle War 90. Sting Flair, the tag team of the year, I gave to the Steiners.
Steiners.
Yeah, with honorable mention to the Fabulous Freebirds. But the Fabulous Freebirds, that wasn't their year. 89, 88, 87, I would have given to the Fabulous Freebirds, and then like the 70s up to the mid 80s, I'd give to the Fabulous ones.
Who would you give Wrestler of the Year to?
The Wrestler of the Year, without a doubt, beyond any shadow of a doubt, Ric Flair.
He's gonna win everything.
He's going to win everything ever.
I bet
With
the,
honorable mention to Sting and Savage.
I was going to say that Sting would have been mine.
He had a big year. 90 was a big year for Sting.
PWI, the Pro Wrestling Index, which does a yearly award, they pick Sting as and beating out Flair, and then of course Hogan and Warrior. Which why they were ever nominated, I'll never know.
Right on.
I never did get to see the Sting and Flair match, but seems like both of those guys know how to fucking work.
Yeah, man, that was a wonderful match,
Yeah.
man. Anytime those guys got together, I don't think they ever really had a bad match. Flair could work the Ultimate Warrior, and it would be a good match. Like Flair said it himself. He said, "I can look better losing than most guys
Yeah.
can winning."
Yeah.
So I mean, it was awesome. Rookie of the Year, Steve Austin,
Steve Austin.
Stunning Steve. I got to give that. Manager of the Year, I got to give.
Brother Love.
No, I got to give to Bobby Heenan.
Oh, okay.
With
Mr.
Jim
Perfect.
Cornette and with Jim Cornette and Brother Love as honorable mention. Bruce Pritchard.
Was Heenan with Perfect?
Yeah, he had a big year. Perfect, Andre the Giant, the Rougeos. He managed a bunch of heels,
Okay.
Love Bobby Heenan.
and I think that's.
about it.
That's
I
pretty
think-
much it.
And old Percy was in Texas still, probably at this point.
Yeah, he was.
I think we're heading into our favorite section.
Oh, I was going to save that one for last.
Oh,
deaths that year.
I do have some of those.
Rex Harrison, who you may or may not know, who was the inspiration for the character Stewie.
Oh,
on
he's
Family
Doctor.
Guy.
He was in My Fair Lady.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a
And
good
Jim Henson actually
Oh,
died that
yeah.
year too.
Pneumonia death.
Yeah.
one.
Births Lee.
On the same day as Jim Henson passing was Stevie Ray Vaughan, the airplane crash.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
didn't see that. Couldn't find it.
Sammy Davis Jr. And Tom Fogerty from CCR.
Yeah.
So there were a few deaths that year, but that's
Miss Jim
about all I
Henson.
have.
We need Jim Henson.
Okay, I'm going to cap this sadness with the fact that Jennifer Lawrence was born in 1990.
And Emma Watson.
And Emma Watson. And Kristen Stewart. Yeah, which you could take or leave. You know, I read somewhere that
That leaves gay.
some foreign prince, some foreign royalty prince paid her $500,000 for a 15-minute date with her, and she donated it to charity or something. $500K.
Did she close her mouth?
I don't know. She's a mouth breather. Fuck her. Let's go into lingo. Let's go into popular lingo from 1990.
Was Pop Feed in yet?
Why did you have to ruin it? That was my big go-to on the lingo list.
Well, on to the next subject.
I'd like to say I'm going to use
Not.
all of these words.
Is that a thing yet?
I don't think so. I think that was 92, 93.
I think
It
it showed up
definitely
around
was.
when Wayne's World came around. I don't know.
No, it was out before that. He wasn't the first one. He did it on Saturday Night Live before then.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go ahead and use all the popular lingo of 1990 to describe this podcast. This podcast is slamming.
It's all that and a bag of chips.
It is. Don't fuck with this podcast, biatch.
That started then?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Because we the bomb.
We are the bomb.
God, we were in Kentucky.
And
It
if
must
you're
have
not
taken
careful, this podcast will pop your feet.
I guess being in like rural Kentucky, that didn't make its way over for a couple of years because I don't remember hearing any of that.
Yeah.
You bugging.
No, you bugging. No. You know what? If I had to describe this this podcast with a sound, it would be cha-ching.
Damn, Skippy.
I remember that. Was
Don't even go there.
was Swing there? Was that when the?
You know what?
I think that was 92.
Are those Bugle Boy jeans you're wearing?
That was 80 something.
I don't
That was
know.
80.
Eat my shorts.
Eat my shorts. Let's munch on some grindage, Polly Shore.
Wheeze the juice.
No, home skillet.
Not.
Nod. Oh no, you didn't.
It might help. If
Oh, snap.
I would like to have a list.
I'd like to go ahead and point out that I never said any of those fucking things ever. Those weren't even cool. They were never cool. It's just never. All right, let's jump into everybody's favorite video games.
Yay.
Hey.
Including PC, correct? Because I have a couple of PC items.
There's not a whole lot that
There's
we can
not.
report.
I'd like to go ahead and say that Super Mario Brothers 3
Yep.
is released in 1990 and is the number one selling game of all time.
Released on my birthday.
There went-
February
17.8 million copies.
There went
sold.
my whole list.
Hey, Jordan, video games, man, 1990. What about it?
Minesweeper makes its debut.
Bonk's Adventure comes out on the TurboGrafx 16. It was, which nobody I ever knew had a TurboGrafx.
I never had one, no.
Dr. Mario, and I really enjoyed that game.
The American release of Final Fantasy.
Yep.
Yes.
Michael
Big-
Jackson's Moonwalker is
Oh
released
my
on
God.
Genesis and arcade.
And Eddie phoned in on Dr. Mario. Mega Man 3, Joey.
Yep.
Mega Man 3.
Introduced the
The slide.
slide,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it introduced the characters Russian Proto Man.
Yep.
And Eddie's favorite thing ever was released that year, the Game Genie.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay.
Back to the Future Part 2 and 3 on the NES.
Yes. And the Super Famicom was released in Japan in 1990.
Which
Smash
Which-
TV is released in arcades.
Yep. The
Oh,
Neo
wow.
Geo Advanced.
Yep.
remote control based on the hit MTV show.
Oh
TV
my
show.
God! I remember that show. It had Colin.
Colin Quinn.
Yeah.
And Nintendo has a lawsuit against Color Dreams for unlicensed distribution of Nintendo games, which they won and caused that company to go bankrupt.
Nintendo were fucking awful in the 90s. Like
Atari-
in terms of their business,
Yeah.
they were fucking shrewd as fuck.
Yes.
Why do you think a lot of
Yeah.
people don't like them today?
Yeah.
One of the very first platformers for the PC actually came out that year was called Commander Keen.
Yep.
And the first game in the Tycoon series, which was Railroad Tycoon by Sid Meier, came
That's
out.
right.
We
yeah.
had that one. You played it
Eidos.
with floppy disks.
Yeah.
Kids, if you don't know what that is, use fucking Google.
Yeah.
Secret of Monkey Island comes out.
Floppy.
IDOS, the game company,
Yeah.
they launched. Interactive Studios launched that year.
Double Dragon 2.
Floppy Disk.
Yeah.
Floppy disks, what?
Floppy dicks, saggy nuts. Pick this game up on saggy nuts.
James Pond is released. I played that a lot when I was little. James Pond.
I've
Genesis?
never even heard of
Yep. It was released by Electronic Arts before they became Electronic Arts.
I have another Electronic Arts game
Before they became EA.
Yeah.
Skater Die 2. Amazing.
it. I love Skater Die too, man.
Loved it.
I
Best
was
part of that game is like you do the little half pipe thing, and if you didn't do good, he'd break the board over his head and go, "No way, dude!" And it was like, "Oh my God, there's sound."
yeah.
Yep.
It speaks.
My dad actually played Skater Die 2 with me. He enjoyed playing Skater Die 2.
That little sound chip probably took up half
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure it
the
did.
memory of that cartridge.
I don't doubt it.
One game that I played a lot, and I didn't realize it came out in 90, was Chippendale's Rescue Rangers.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
never
You know,
played it.
It was your typical Capcom side scroller.
Absolutely.
One of the better ones.
Yeah.
So.
Outnumbered came out for anybody who remembers playing that in class.
You run around and throw your nuts. Your acorns. You throw them at
No, I'm talking
people.
about Outnumbered.
No.
I was like, I don't
Well,
remember
you throw your nuts in outnumber too, right?
Did that little kid in the parka and that ball cap? Okay.
Oh, okay. Is that everything for everybody? I mean,
No.
you got way more.
Yeah.
I see. I couldn't find a lot of stuff on 1990.
Batman from Sunsoft came out. It was based on
because the
Michael
movie was
Keaton.
released in '89. Right?
Yeah.
Where Joker was freaking huge.
Yeah. Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse.
Really?
Ninja Gaiden 2, Gaiden. Gaiden.
What's a guy?
Okay. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, came out in December of '90.
Which is my favorite Ninja Turtles anything.
Absolutely.
More than the pies, more than the movies. I love that game.
I've spent many a quarters
yes.
on that.
I spent many allowance on that.
Yes, much wow.
I remember first seeing that damn arcade game at Walmart, and I about flipped the fuck out.
Yeah.
I'd never seen anything like it. And the little robots talked and Shredder talked. I was like,
yeah.
Rocksteady kicked the shit out of me.
Yeah. He was a fuckface in that. He's like on the second level, right?
Rocksteady was on the first level.
Was it the first level?
Bebop was on the second one. You
Yeah.
say you a prayers, Toidles.
Toidle. Yeah, Toidle. He had a Brooklyn accent.
Yeah.
So you
Get out of here. The fake sequel to Metal Gear was released, Snake's Revenge. It did not have Hideo Kojima on it, which, speaking of Hideo Kojima.
Yes, you can tune in next week to actually be able to watch video of Jordan playing Silent Hills PT.
Yes.
Scared like a little bitch.
He's already given me a synopsis of just like the first 4 minutes that he played. I'm excited. This game is going to be.
Have you watched any trailers for it yet?
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
You can summarize the game in 4 words. It's ate the fuck up.
Yeah. And, Hideo Kojima stated, with horror games, they tended to not make them that scary because it tended to make people want to shut off the game. Mm-hmm. He said with this, they're going all out.
He wants you to shit your pants on this.
Yeah.
And
I'm tired of boo!
Also, for the movie buffs out there, Guillermo del Toro was actually helping with this. And I think
a huge Del Toro fan.
He was made for Silent Hill.
And a little trivia for you, Joey. Guillermo del Toro directed Hellboy. And as we all know, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, Hellboy does have a really big fist.
And a big gun.
Did
you know Guillermo del Toro actually for a while wanted to direct a version of It? Stephen King's It? Yep.
They are releasing a re-release of It.
Is he doing
a remake? I don't know.
Oh, I know for years he said
we could only hope so.
To do it.
We'll look it up later. And a little TV knowledge onto the Silent Hills game is Norman Reedus starring as the main character.
Yeah. I don't know how that's gonna.
We'll see.
It just seems weird when you put in like a big, well-known actor, even though he's only recently become super well-known.
They could have used Michael Rooker instead of Daryl. They could have used Merle.
Speaking of Michael Rooker, I'm sorry, I'm going back to the movies released that year. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, got its national release in theaters. It actually came out in '86 or '87, but it didn't get a national release until 1990. So I forgot to mention that.
Thanks.
You're welcome. That's going to do it for us this week. We are the Burg Nerds. I am Jeremy.
I'm Joe.
Oh, I'm Jordan.
I'm Lee.
And Hulk Hogan, you can't do that.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
The Burg Nerds. We were the Burg Nerds. Just sitting around talking about stuff. The Burg Nerds. That was the Burg Nerds. Just sitting around talking about shit.